Hello, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a very blustery woods. So summer is officially over, we are into autumn and we know what that means, winter will shortly follow. So it seemed like a really good time to do a video all about our winter woolies. Now in a few of my recent videos I've talked about buying vintage gear and making use of it as an alternative to going out and buying new stuff that's been newly produced and is usually pretty overpriced. So in this video we're going to look at buying a woolen shirt. Now over the years I've purchased a few of these vintage woolen shirts and they really are a great item for not a whole lot of money. What you tend to find with them is they were manufactured usually in the country where they were predominantly sold. They also were made at a time when people took a pride in their products and how their products are put together. So they usually are very, very well made. Quality of the materials is always good. And they're also a very reasonable cost. Now, if I look at some of the big brands, the Swan Dries, the Fire Ravens, etc., they're very good bits of kit, but they cost a lot of money. I was looking at a Foul Raven one. I don't think it was even proper wool. It was done to look like one of these. It wasn't quite one of these, and I think it was about 120 quid. On average for one of these, purchased via eBay from somebody in the UK, I pay about 25 quid on average. And what you're getting is a very good lightweight wool shirt. And that's the other thing with these. They tend to be available in different weights depending which supplier you go for. I tend to go for Pendletons. I've bought Woolrich. They tend to be a little bit heavier, but the Pendletons are quite nice and lightweight. And to me that means two things. Number one, they're very good as part of a layer system. I can use them year round. I can use them in the summer without anything on underneath. I can use them in the autumn and the spring with a wool t-shirt on underneath. In the winter I can stick a full length wool top underneath, and this can be part of my mid layer, so I can have several layers going in. It also means, because it's lighter in weight, it's faster drying. So you get an item that is very reasonably priced, usually very well made, top spec materials for not a whole lot of money. Also, there's the whole carbon footprint thing. As far as I'm concerned, if you buy a piece of vintage gear, well, probably that carbon footprint is almost balanced out. This is a very good buy that makes a lot of sense. But what we're going to look at is, well, once you've looked around on eBay and you've found one that you like, you've bid for it, you've got it, and you get it home, what do you do with it then? What do you look for? Now usually your eBay seller will have given a description of the item and they'll tell you whether it's pristine, they'll tell you whether it's new with tags. Well, with vintage it's not going to be new with tags. It may say it has a few holes, general signs of wear and tear for an item of its age, and that usually covers a multitude of sins. Over the years I found ones like this which said exactly that, very good for its age, which when it arrived was pristine. There was virtually nothing wrong with it. All the buttons were in place, had no holes, no thin patches, etc, etc. This one, however, when I purchased this one, same description, it did show a small hole, so I checked it over. And things to look for: around the collar area, this area can wear quite thin. If you can, when you look at the photographs, always look at this area. If it's got damage around there, don't buy it. It's very difficult to repair one that's got damage there. Other small holes, well, you get all sorts. Round on the back of this one, obviously the person that's used it in the past has used the rucksack because it has worn thin in places. But that's not a great problem, because what you can do is if you've got thin areas, you can back them with a piece of cotton tape and then multi-zigzag over it with your sewing machine, and that will help to reinforce it. If it's got tears in it, if it's a good clean tear, just push the edges together and multi-zigzag again. And it's a relatively easy fix. This one I had to do in quite a few places. Another place to look for wear is around the elbows. Quite often this area can wear quite thin. Some of the sellers don't even notice it when they put them on, but when you get it, they can have holes in the elbow. An easy fix, is what people used to do, is just to put a leather pad and sew it onto the outside. You can buy them off of Amazon and most haberdashers and just sew them on by hand. It's an easy job, an easy fix, and it helps to protect the elbows on your shirt. Also check it over for the buttons. Yes, that they're all present, but also with some of the older shirts where buttons have been sewn on repeatedly, the actual wool area can wear quite thin, so you're trying to stitch into something that frankly is barely there. With that, again, a little piece of cotton tape applied to the back, then sew your button on, and it holds it all neatly in place. On this particular shirt, that happened in 3 separate places. So I sewed a long piece of tape in place, and then sewed the buttons on in their original place, and it's all held fine. Over on the actual buttonholes themselves, over on the other side, that can be an area for wear, but again, a little zigzag on either side of those buttonholes, and that will help to reinforce it. Once you've done that, chuck it through the wash. Remember, observe that it's a wool wash, a little bit of fabric conditioner in there just to soften them up a little bit, and you've got a great shirt. It is good to go. Now, one other thing. When you look at things on eBay, there'll be a photograph of it, hopefully, or several photographs, and a description of the colour. The colour of the shirt can vary quite a lot to the photograph or the description. For example, this one, when I first got it, was a lighter colour. It also had a lot of oranges and browns in it. Now, I'm a child who grew up in the 1970s, and I have a slight aversion to orange and brown because an awful lot of interior decoration in the 1970s was just that colour, and it gives me terrible flashbacks. So what you can do is either change the colour by dyeing it, or you can tone the colour down by dyeing it. Now, to change the colour, bear in mind that if it's a dark colour, you're probably not going to change it that much, and even if you are, with wool, it doesn't take particularly well. So you've got to use quite a lot of dye and leave it soaking for quite a long time to get it to change colour. I've done that with shirts in the past. I had a green one for quite a few years. It didn't start out as green, it was a tan colour, and I dyed it green. This one was quite a bit lighter. The colour's okay, it just needed toning down a bit. So all I did with this was I used a natural dye, and what I used was walnut husks. I was out foraging last week. I've had this one for a couple of years now, and I thought I will change the colour. So I gathered up some walnuts, shelled them so I had the husks, popped those all into a bag, pop them into some water, leave it for a couple of days, or as I did, boil it up for a couple of hours, and the liquid goes a very dark, almost blacky brown colour. It looks like strong coffee. Allow it to cool enough that you can put your hand in, because you don't want the wool shirt to shrink. And then all I did was leave it for 12 hours. And then once it had been there for 12 hours, I wrung it out, rinsed it thoroughly, put it through the wash, and it gave me this very nice toned down colour. And what I've got is a very good, very usable work shirt that I can use year round, made of wool, very well made and crafted, and it only cost me 25 quid. Can't say fairer than that. So there you go, my top tips for buying vintage wool shirts for using in a bushcraft environment. And for all those reasons I've just said, why wouldn't you? If you enjoyed this video, then remember, hit that thumbs up button to say that you liked it. Share it out to other people you think might be interested in it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me over on Facebook and Instagram. Just look up Greencraft. The links are in the box down below, and there's also a link to my Etsy shop. Pop over there, there's a few items that I sell. I think there's some wood wizards over there. There's the Greencraft enamel mug, almost legendary, and makes your tea and coffee taste so much better. And there's also, of course, the Greencraft patches. I'm still waiting out on the leather ones for the caps, but don't worry, I've been assured they are on their way. You can also, if you want to get involved with the channel, go and check out my Patreon page, again in the description box down below. I think that's everything. I've got a couple of more videos coming up which are going to be kind of a wintry type theme, as that's coming up to help you get geared up for the season ahead. And I think that's everything. I've been Neil, and until next time, stay safe.